Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the first watch ever launched by Parmigiani Fleurier, designed by Michel Parmigiani, part of a series that launched in 1996. This is the Parmigiani Fleurier Toric Memory Time in Rose Gold. The first watch that launched an empire. Today, Michel Parmigiani companies make every single part of the watch, and they are endowed by the Sandoz Family Foundation, meaning they have a lot of money for an independent. They provide parts to everyone up to and including the likes of Richard Mille, and this watch helped to launch the giant that would become the Vaucher and Parmigiani family of companies. So 36 millimeters in rose gold, 8.6 millimeters thick. You can see that it is 40.9 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with an 18 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now this watch represents a later version of that original 1996 memory time. You can see that because the dial's a little bit different. It says Greenwich Mean Time and it features the delta rather than the spade hands. We'll go into that in a moment. First thing you need to know is it's a very wearable watch. This is a 90s sensibility in terms of sizing. 36 is ideal for traditional men's dress complication, and that's exactly what this is. The design, inspired by Greek columns and designed to look like a compressed Greek column, beautifully wears on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. In fact, I could recommend this watch to fit underneath a dress cuff and to slide onto a wrist as small as 13 centimeters in circumference. It really does look outstanding. The timepiece includes a strap, which you can see is calfskin on the bottom, calfskin on the top, thickly bolstered to add volume. There's a sheer cut side, a monotone stitch, a lovely porous matte finish on the top, and it is a very, very impressive strap in every regard. Thick, even where it's not heavily bolstered. The layers of leather used are impressive. There's a Parmigiani Fleurier buckle, and it is a full folding clasp with the coining profile and the gadroons that you see in the bezel of the watch. There's lovely design parallelism here. You could also see the teardrop profile of the side of the buckle is exactly the same design as the lugs themselves. So you have a folding clasp. It is a double folding, and you can see curved to match the arc of the underside of your wrist for excellent ergonomics, and then excellent detail. Here you can see the lugs are actually welded on. Those welded lug profiles are achieved by creating a case that has a notch in the side, then making the lugs as separate components, inserting them into the notch, and then creating a weld, and then removing evidence of the weld, and that allows this sharp break between case band and lug profile. This is a laborious and traditional way to make a case and finish a case by hand, but no expense was spared here. We have a blue sapphire cabochon and a slightly recessed crown. You can see it sits in a little revetment or notch in the case flank that prevents the crown from extending in ungainly fashion from the edge of the case. It has a little bit of a 1950s disco volante profile, and you can see it's mirrored with gadroons and coining on both sides. We have a double gadroon, double coined bezel, and it has a nice slope to it that allows it to slip easily under a dress cuff. It gives way to a dial that has a lovely gray concentric guilloche pattern. So this is a concentric guilloche, and you'll appreciate that there are a couple of different textures, tones, and materials here as we have individual white gold polished hour indices, little cabochon on a track that is silvered to contrast with the gray of the dial base. Earlier versions of this watch would have had a sort of spade style hands, so baton with little spades at the end. Here we have the delta style hands that have become a modern Parmigiani signature, and around the late 90s, early 2000s, the hands were changed to reflect the design you see right here. You can also see there's a dark border framing the hour track to visually separate it from the primary dial. The watch does include lovely vaulted Greenwich Mean Time notation at the top, and it is a GMT, or at least it is a dual time with a 24-hour second time zone, and a lovely custom typeface created specifically for this watch. So every hour on the hour, this is a jump hour watch. You can set the two time zones to synchronize to each other, so you can actually use it as a digital jumping time. Just treat it like a jump hour, and you can read your time up at 12 o'clock if you synchronize the two. Now, the way you do this is you first set the reference time up at 12 o'clock, and how much do you love that custom typeface, and then you actually back the primary time to reflect the time where you are. That's how you set these two time zones separately. No chicanery involving crowns or clutches. You want to make sure that as you set the watch, you back up, but then you set your minute correctly. And of course, you've got the ability to set those 2 time zones, but you can also synchronize the 2 if, for example, you just want them to coincide. The hands are beautiful, fired blue, so you'll also note the cannon pinion at center has been mirror polished. Turn it all over, and how much do you love the design of this case? Not just the fact that it's hand finished, but the slender knife edge profile, the gadrones or domed strakes that ring the dial, the coined profile. It really does look like a Greek column that has been vertically compressed, and that was the idea, and it triumphs. Here we have Parmigiani caliber 130.2. It's based on the Lamagna 8813, which is itself based on the Longines L990. It is a thin twin-barrel, series-coupled barrel, 44-hour high horology automatic, and this one is meticulously hand-finished with abrasive wheel Côte de Genève, black-polished screws. We have mirrored anglage on the edge of every bridge, satinated wheels, including barrels, and then 4 separate finishes on the guilloche-cut winding rotor. It's an automatic winder with a 44-hour power reserve, a 4 Hz beat rate, 25 joules, chronometer-style 5-position adjustment. You can see it really is quite beautiful with a Triovis micro adjustment mechanism for beat error, and it is just gorgeous, thin and fine with the base movement less than 3 millimeters thick, and then Parmigiani adding the proprietary jump hour dual time module on top, all of that 30 meters water resistant. A very special and historically independent piece from an influential independent watch brand. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.